Muslim leaders in Plano and Richardson held an open house, inviting all sorts of people, anybody that wanted to come to sign up to come check out their mosques and have an open house day and eat and get to know the Islamic people in the community. One of the leaders that was in charge of all this came out and said, "What do you mean you're against Sharia law? Sharia is already here." What does that mean? And are there serious and grand hypocrisies from members in the Islamic community at the Plano Mosque and the Richardson Mosque? We're going to get into that in just a minute. There's some really must-hear things that have come out in some of the coverage from our local news, good, bad, ugly, etc. That in just a moment. Also, the horrible news today. We lost a 19-year-old from Carrollton, Dallas-Fort Worth suburb, along with a young man from Hawaii and a third missing that is presumably dead. We also lost a fourth person, so we lost 4 troops over the weekend in Iran. Also, what's the latest on, are we negotiating with them? Are we bombing them? I have a very strong opinion on all that coming up, and so much more. Zohar Mamdani says he's going to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. What's her name from The View? Sunny Hostin says that no one's above the law except for Sunny Hostin and her son. You have to see the video I have for you on that. And the head of the Democrat Socialists of America goes toe-to-toe with Martha McCallum from Fox News and makes himself look like a fool when asked simple questions. All that's coming up next on Croc Talk with Chris Croc. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy is my man. He's my CPA. All right, Sharia is already here. A speaker tells the Plano Mosque open house. This is, guess who put this event together, first of all? Why Islam? Why Islam is the same group that knowingly and willingly went in illegally into a school, Wiley ISD School District in Wiley, Texas, suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth, and brought in Qurans, hijabs, and understanding Sharia pamphlets and passed them out to students in the middle of the day while they were eating lunch inside of the public school, while the principal, the former and now disgraced former principal, Tiffany Doolin, according to multiple students, watched on as these Islamic professional proselytizers were allowed to pass out Qurans and try to convert people. That's the same group, Why Islam. They put this together, and they're telling you there's nothing wrong with Sharia law. Wow, okay. Gain Peace Director Dr. Sabil Ahmed said Sharia is already here. His remarks, literally he said Sharia is already here. His remarks presented at it as a personal religious guidance, not a replacement for American civil law. Well, one of the things I have a question on is why do all Islamic countries, every Islamic country, have Sharia law and practice it and enforce it? Well, then how are you expecting us to believe that Sharia law is not going to happen like it does in Islamic countries? For example, in Indonesia, I believe it was, a woman was recently caned for kissing somebody, kissing another person, a man, on social media. And I watched her get caned in a Daily Mail post. Are we going to have that here? If not, why is it happening in the Muslim countries? Marcos Lopez has chimed in. He says, you are a great journalist, a true journalist. I appreciate that, my friend. If you want to comment, you can if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. Let me continue on, though, because this Dr. Sabil Ahmed, speaking at the Plano Mosque, said that would be Epic Mosque. I believe Ahmed told attendees not to reduce Sharia to criminal punishments or to the conduct of governments and groups that invoke it. Not to reduce it to the criminal punishments. In other words, it is part of it. We know it's part of it. That's how Muslim countries are governed, by Sharia. How are we supposed to expect that when Muslims are here and as they grow in population, they're not going to do the same thing here? Anyway, he says, don't reduce Sharia to criminal punishments or to the conduct of governments and groups that invoke it. Again, don't reduce it. It's still there, but don't reduce it to just that. So what he's saying is, don't believe your lying eyes. What he's saying is, when you see the canings in Indonesia, when you see gays being hanged or thrown off buildings. When you see women with hijab not wearing hijabs get arrested, tortured, brutalized, beat, shot in the street in Iran, for example, don't believe your lying eyes. That's what he's saying. He also said, and this is great, tie in the wokeness so that we have to accept it. He said that Sharia is part of it is part of the Sharia to fight immoralities. It is part of, quote, the Sharia to fight for equality. Well, wait a minute. Why then have people told me over and over again, including people like Abtin Vaziri, who ran for Congress and is an Iranian American whose whole family, he says, is from Iran and is Muslim. He's the only one that turned Christian. Why is it that he says women are worth half of what a man is in court? And yet he says part of Sharia is to fight for equality. Well, not for women, from everything I've been told. He says just because some people misuse it, we blame those people, but not the concept of Sharia. So when you say just because some people misuse it, are you saying that Turkey, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, are you saying they're all misusing it? Syria, Lebanon, are they all misusing Sharia? Is that what you're telling me? Like, there's a whole bunch of more Muslim countries I'm forgetting. Morocco, are they all misusing Sharia? That doesn't make any sense. He says some people may fear Sharia is coming to the U.S. Do not fear. Sharia is not coming to the U.S. And the reason it's not coming to the U.S. is because it's already here. Meanwhile, a guy named Gary, who's a Christian, was there, and he spoke out. And he said he described seeing women carrying luggage for men, standing outside cafes and wearing heavy clothing in extreme heat. He also questioned whether some Muslim immigrants are resisting assimilation. Well, that's true. I drove around the Plano mosque there, Epic Mosque, and it is not in any way, shape, or form assimilated at all, sadly. Abtin Vaziri, the one I told you about, who was running for Congress, he did not win, but he was running for Congress several months ago in February at a candidate forum at Epic Mosque, East Plano Islamic Center, and he said, quote, as someone whose entire family is Muslim, I am not down with Sharia law. Sharia law says that women on that side of the room are worth half as much as men. Do you all agree with that? His comments then drew audible reactions. I've played it for you on this podcast. One attendee was physically restrained. It was a man. He had to be physically restrained from perhaps assaulting Abtin Vaziri for telling what he says is the truth. And which I believe is the truth. Continuing on. Listen to this. About Sharia is already here. Well, it is. Watch this. In September of 2025, and this is the first time I'm seeing this. This is, again, from the Dallas Express. This whole story is from the Dallas Express, and here's the coverage they did right here from the Dallas Express. Sharia is already here. Speaker tells Plano Mosque in open house by my friend Carlos Tercios. Carlos is definitely a friend. Okay, so this came out from this story in the Dallas Express. In September of 2025, Houston Imam F. Qasim Ibn Ali Khan organized what he called Sharia patrols in Houston, targeting Muslim-owned convenience stores. As previously reported by the Dallas Express, Khan gave store owners 30 days to stop selling alcohol, pork, and lottery tickets or face demonstrations. He argued that Muslims should not sell items prohibited by Islamic law, as in Sharia law. Yes, they're enforcing Sharia law in Texas already. You have a man who I finally reached out to today to see if he'll come on the podcast, Edwin Isagoli, a man who fled Iran because of persecution. He's a Christian from Islamists. Quote, I came here from Iran. I lived under the full force of Sharia law. Islam is about religion and state, he says. Islam becomes, isn't it funny the left is going to, loves Islam so much that it'll allow Islam to gain power and to eventually run the state, and then we'll realize it made a mistake? It's remarkable. Islam becomes offensive, he says, the minute it takes power. That is when you see blasphemy laws kick in. That is when you see the apostasy laws, where they're being killed for leaving their religion in my country, Iran. Also, this is telling. This is from the Dallas Morning News. Dallas Morning News put a lipstick on a pig. Not to be offensive by saying pig, but Dallas Morning News put lipstick on a pig and tried to make this whole thing look fantastic and beautiful and warm and fuzzy. They talked about a woman from Custer Road. She goes to Custer Road United Methodist Church. United Methodist Church embrace all the wokeism and all this leftist stuff. They'll even tell you there's many ways to heaven, which is false. There's only one way to heaven, and it is through faith in Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Custer, this woman who's a member of Custer Road United Methodist Church was at the Plano open house for the mosque, and she said that she came away understanding that Sharia is similar to the Ten Commandments in the Bible. Oh, no, ma'am. Sharia is not similar to the Ten Commandments in the Bible. Show me where the Ten Commandments say to cane people. Show me where the Ten Commandments say that a woman is worth half of a man. I mean, it goes on and on and on. That is incorrect, madame. Very incorrect. Coming from United Methodist, though, I'm not surprised. Not trying to be mean. Also, we have this. The man I've been telling you about from the Islamic community that says that Sharia is already here. Gain Peace Director Dr. Sabeel Ahmed said this. For the last couple election cycles, the politicians and even our governor have used Islam as their crying point to get elected and to rile up their base and to spread all these false statements and false rumors. He is the legal counsel. It's a separate guy, actually. This is a legal counsel for the Islamic Association of North Texas, IANT. Now, our governor has not been lying. Our governor has pointed out that Epic City is an illegal Muslim city. Once we caught them distributing materials and literally exclusively catering to and advertising to Muslim people only to build a Muslim city, a massive Muslim city in Josephine, Texas, 40 miles north by northeast of Dallas. They had to change. They changed everything. Oh no, we're not only inviting Muslims, even though there's a mosque, a masjid in the middle of it. Also everything's all Muslim centric, and they advertise to Muslims. I have it right here. Let's play it. Here we go. Hold on.
Islam to the forefront.
Let me pause it and go to the beginning. Here we go.
Welcome to Epic 2.0. Epic City is more than just a neighborhood. It's a way of life, a meticulously designed community that brings Islam to the forefront.
A community that brings Islam to the forefront. This is an Islamic city. Nobody that has a brain thinks anything else but a Muslim city. So this guy says our governor is spreading false statements and false rumors. No. Epic City is not a false statement and a false rumor. No. The Muslims-only event at a public event at Epic City Water Park is not a false statement. That is an illegal gathering. A woman being caned in Indonesia is not a false statement. Sharia happening in Sharia enforcement in Houston is not a false statement. Also, he says Muslims are on the election ballots and are being unfairly targeted by the extreme right wing. In other words, he's saying that anybody who criticizes Sharia, the enforcement thereof, and speaks out about Epic City or the Epic water park event that was Muslims only is an extreme right-winger. Our governor, Greg Abbott, who is not an extreme right-winger, he's calling him an extreme right-winger. What he's saying is you cannot disagree with him or you are an extreme right-winger. Also of note, he mentioned that Sharia in here, fights, or the guy that was speaking at the very beginning, I told you about, Gain Peace Director Sabeel Ahmed, Dr. Sabeel Ahmed was saying that Sharia fights racism and fights inequality, which is completely laughable. But nonetheless, I want to tell you about a beautiful young woman who we lost. We lost her over the weekend. I want to show you a picture. Well, before I even do, she's 19. My daughter's 19. And she just graduated high school in Louisville, Hebron High School. And she's dead. She's dead because she signed up to be Army, and she wanted to serve her country. Do you know at her graduation she wore an army shawl or whatever it's called? You know, like the thing you have around here for your graduation. She wore an army one. She was all army all the way. I'm getting goosebumps. She she so wanted badly her army career, and she got it. She was stationed in Jordan with 50,000 troops that are stationed in the Middle East in that area. And when the Iranians attacked our base in Jordan, it is the Mufawak Salti Air Base in Jordan. And what we have to understand is that the THAAD missile defense system, which I believe is what was protecting them at the time, among other things, I'm sure, can't be 100% right. They're about 95% right. And when they're the wrong 5%, they can kill people, and they just did. Missiles and drones struck, and killing. And they're saying right now it's 2 with 1 person missing, but they found remains. The remains have to be tested. It's 3. Officially, it's 2 dead, but it's going to be 3 dead. And then, second of all, we lost another member of our armed services who was in Iraq, who was sent out to disarm a Iranian Shahed drone that had crashed or we shot down, but it was still armed. And when they were trying to disarm it, it blew up and killing one of our soldiers. So honestly, the number officially is 3, but it's going to be 4. And I want to show you her picture now. And Marcos Lopez chiming in says, thank you to all who have served and are currently serving. Exactly right. Here she is, our local hero from Louisville. This is Private Isabella Gonzalez, 19, from Carrollton. She lost her other fellow partner there in crime, if you will, one of our heroes, First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25, from Iwa Beach, Hawaii. He was killed as well. Miss Isabella Gonzalez, only a private, guys. She loved her freaking country. She was so excited. Look at her. Look at her beautiful smile. She had such a future. You know, my dad joined the Army National Guard and served, retiring as a lieutenant colonel, served 30 years. Both of my brothers are or were National Guard serving. And they get so much training, education, and experience, and are warriors to protect us. And they get wonderful benefits, whether it be VA benefits, whether it be VA loans, whether it be a pension, like my father, his life of service, starting in local law enforcement with the Chicago Police Department, then going to federal law enforcement, as well as being a guardsman for all of his life, retiring. These people get pensions, they get care, they get health care. God bless them, they deserve it. They serve us, they love this freaking country. And it breaks our hearts. I mean, she just graduated high school, I think, like a year ago. They were killed as part of Operation Inherent Resolve. Miss Gonzalez here, let's go back to her picture, was assigned to the 1st Battalion, 57th Air Defense Artillery Regiment, 52nd Air Defense Artillery Brigade, 10th Army Air Missile Defense Command in Ansbach, Germany. The third member I mentioned was reported missing. Remains are being examined to identify them. As I said, I will be shocked if the remains are not that of the third missing service member. I mean, he's on the base, and suddenly he or she is missing. Representative Mitch Little, Republican from Louisville, shared a post on Sunday that Gonzalez was a Hebron High School graduate whose sacrifice will be honored. Actually, she's from Carrollton, not Louisville. Isabella lost her life in service to our country, and we owe her a debt of gratitude that we cannot repay. Louisville ISD also released a sweet statement, a kind statement, where Hebron is based. Gonzalez decided to serve after graduating from the school in spring of 2025. She's only been out for 1 year, guys, and she's dead. Only 1 year, and she passed away. She's been killed, serving us. We owe her a debt of gratitude that we cannot repay, says Louisville ISD. She decided to serve after graduating in spring of 2025. Her decision to join the military spoke volumes of her character, the district said. And what I wrote here earlier was a path. I wrote the words a path, and I wrote my dad. My dad served as a military policeman for many years, and then was a battalion commander leading a battalion of policemen. I remember going as a young man, a little boy, going to his where he was a battalion commander and watching him command his troops. I remember them gathering at what was called the Chicago Avenue Armory, an old polo field house right next door to Water Tower in downtown Chicago, in the heart of everything. They demolished it, which is real sad. But I remember my dad. I remember them doing drills at that place. We are humbled by Isabella's service, Louisville ISD says, and by the devotion to duty that guided her. We will honor her life and the example she set, and her memory will always have a home in our community and in our hearts. Jasmine Crockett shared condolences, but then attacked Trump, saying, "When's enough? Could it be enough?" Jazzy, you don't do that crap when somebody's dead. You don't couch it in there, but that's why she is no longer an elected official come November, because she's a fool and a twit. They struck prefabricated housing units where the troops lived and slept. But and remember, what the reports we've been seeing is that China and Russia have been helping with their extraordinarily high-end technology like we have to help Iran target and kill us. So it'll be surprising to me. It would be surprising or shocking, not shocking, but surprising to me if Iran wasn't assisted by Russia or China. Three missiles could slip through U.S. air defenses points to the challenges in protecting the estimated 50,000 troops stationed in the Middle East. 2 U.S. troops killed by Iran are identified as Trump moves to closer to all-out war and blistering revenge. So now the death toll so far in Operation Enduring Freedom, or I believe that's what's called lately. I don't think. Oh, Operation Inherent Resolve, perhaps. Sorry. The death toll's at 17. With the unidentified and missing soldier, it's going to be 18. This is the cost that we pay for fighting for freedom and stopping terrorists from getting a nuclear bomb. Now, in a moment, we're going to get into what Trump should be doing. And here's a hint. He should not be negotiating. You don't negotiate with terrorists, you kill them. Or capture them and jail them. Preferably kill them. That's up next. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin has been my CPA for a decade now, and I cannot tell you how amazing. This past year, 2025, was the first year where I was all on my own for small business. I'm filling in for Mark Davis on Wednesday, by the way. I filled in for San Antonio today and on Friday. I fill in all over the country for radio networks. I'm adding another network, several shows. I'll tell you about it once I do my first one. It's my own small business. Without Randy Martin, my taxes would be in shambles. And because of Randy, I got a massive surprise because he's a conservative tax planner, which protects you. And God bless him. Here we are 10 years ago. Me, Randy, Ray, and George, all of us together. And here's Randy speaking at his alma mater, UT Austin, the best accountancy school in the state where he got his CPA from while he went to school for his accountancy degree. So go to IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, or call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. You know, maybe you had a loved one who died, and there's some tax issues. Maybe you have a business, and you have some tax issues or personal tax issues. Or maybe you just want a good tax planner. That is Randy Martin at IRSprob.com. I'm wearing my Jim Dutton shirt, Due West Foundation and Plumbing. Woo, woo, woo. Due West does plumbing and foundation work, and they are the best. I have used them exclusively for this house for over 11 years. My wife worked for them for 3 years, and that's why she's friends with Mary, Jim's wife. Jim's sons, Adam and Johan. Adam is a combat veteran from Iraq. God bless him. And they have been they haven't taken over the company, but they've been working for the company for 15 years or so. This is the best foundation and best plumbing company. You don't want a separate foundation and a separate plumbing company. They'll blame each other because things will go wrong. Jim has replaced a pipe underneath my foundation and then done foundation work because you have to when you dig out the dirt. Jim has replaced my water heater. Jim has done the remodeling for my plumbing in my house. They are the best. Due West Foundation and Plumbing. They did my root shields, protecting my foundation from roots underneath. That's why my foundation has been so amazing and had no work done on it other than when I replaced the pipe. So, if you want the best, call Due West. Go to du-west.com. That's du-west.com. DU-West.com. My friend Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement on TV and radio in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Austin, is the proprietor. His dad started the company in the 70s. Jim took over after years of working with his father. They're the best. Go to DU-West.com or call 972-406-0912. That's 972-406-0912 and tell them Chris Crock sent you to Due West Foundation and Plumbing, DU-West.com. Coming up a little later, I'm going to tell you about my roof. I have a roofer now, and they did my entire roof, and it's freaking amazing. And they are the absolute best. Blue Ribbon DFW, BlueRibbonDFW.com. There is Q-Town, dude, 1973. I would like to know what our governor is doing to stop the Islamic takeover of Texas. I agree. Well, I can name some of it. I'm not going to be his chief defender here, but he has been fighting Epic City. He has sicked every avenue of government that I'm aware of the state that he can to stop Epic City, to force them to not have an Islamic-centric city, to not have a Muslims-only city. I know one of his top advisors is a Muslim guy. Not advisors, but top donors is a Muslim guy. I know there's a lot of issues you have with them, and each one I will take up as they present themselves. But Q-Town, dude, that's a fair question. Marco Rubio. Iran attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz effectively killed the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, but diplomacy still on the table. Diplomacy is still on the table. First of all, I do not want J.D. Vance as our vice president. God bless his child that was just born today with Usha and him. But I do not want him to be our president. I want Marco Rubio. Marco! Just like Marco Hunter Lopez, whose dad's watching us right now. I want Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio has proven himself in the first 2 years of this administration to be the best. He has matured. He is incredible. He has a command of foreign policy and of U.S. policy, and no better person to lead this world, this country in the U.S. against communism and socialism than Marco Rubio, whose parents fled with him from Cuba with the communists. Marco Rubio would actually not try to negotiate with Iran, but instead kill them. J.D. Vance is the clown who thinks we can negotiate with terrorists. Hey, it's not worked for 47 years. Why wouldn't we try this? Yeah, well, we did, and look what happened. No, you kill them. You kill the terrorists. You don't negotiate with them. Marco Rubio says, I think we're always open to diplomacy. It has to be real. It has to be the deal they're willing to live by. He says they're not complying with the MOU. The straits are supposed to be open, free of tolls, free of attack. Obviously, they're not. This from the Wall Street Journal. Iran war mediators push for traction on a new ceasefire. I don't want a new ceasefire. Qatar has floated the idea of a 10-day ceasefire and an end to restrictions on shipping in the strategic waterway. I don't want a new ceasefire. I don't want a new negotiation. Finish the job, Mr. President. You should not have stopped 2 months ago. We would have been done. The Iranian regime would have fallen by now. So do it now. As of today, gas is back up at $4 or above, and this is where we would have been 2 months ago. Finish the job, Mr. President. I know we're getting closer to the midterms, but you should have done it. You should have finished the job 2 months ago. Here we are now. Finish the job. Finish the job. Meanwhile, the Houthis in Yemen, one of the three major proxies for Iran, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. Houthis are now doing what Iran has told them to do. They say they're imposing a naval blockade on Saudi Arabia, opening a new front against the United States through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, which is through the Red Sea and out. So they're going to stop shipping from getting out of the Red Sea. And what's really cool is Israel and Saudi Arabia, who currently don't recognize each other diplomatically, are both fighting hand in hand to stop and kill the Houthis from stopping shipping, because that's not going to happen. Zohar Mamdani, the Islamist, terrorist, Islamist, and communist, he says that he is going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. That was part of his campaign pledge. Obviously, he means business. So let's see what law he's going to use to arrest and capture Bibi Netanyahu and arrest him under this international criminal court. Let's see what he cites. Watch this. This is great.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is perhaps planning to visit New York for the UN General Assembly. You pledged during your campaign and after you won to order his arrest to comply with the International Criminal Court warrant. What will happen if he comes in September?
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many purely because of what his actions have wrought over these last many years. I've also said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City because I believe that there is an importance in following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Meaning that whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do.
Wait a minute, you don't know what the law is? You just promise stuff and you don't even know what the law is? What?
But we won't be writing our own laws to that end.
What does the law allow you to do?
That's an active conversation with our legal department in seeing what the prospects are we have here in our municipality. However, what we've seen at the national level is a desire sometimes to write your own laws, to go outside of the bounds of legality. That's not something we have an interest in.
I mean, normally when people come to a UN General Assembly, they're granted a sort of amnesty because it is the seat of the United Nations. Is that what you're thinking that you'll honor, or you're actively looking to see if you can actually arrest him?
I think we are looking at all of our legal obligations, and one of them is with regards to the United Nations. But the other part of this is we're not talking about a personal assessment of Benjamin Netanyahu. We're talking about the International Criminal Court and the fact that they have a warrant out for this prime minister's arrest. And I think it's important to talk about the weight that that has as a charge, and also that as the mayor of New York City, I'll be following the laws of New York City.
Yeah, so you said you're going to arrest him and you're going to charge him, but you're not. Well, I have a little something from John Yoo, the former Assistant U.S. Attorney General. He was on. I want to pull up what he says. Here we go. He was on Fox News today, and he explained that this is actually illegal what the mayor's doing, as you would imagine, and he should be investigated and charged. He is violating the American Servicemen's Protection Act of 2002. You cannot come after anybody or arrest somebody because of anything that the International Criminal Court does. We do not, as a country, under all administrations, have never recognized them. They are not legitimate. I believe it's Britain as well that doesn't. But we don't recognize them, so there's no validity of them. You're literally violating the law and should be investigated according to our former Assistant U.S. Attorney and Attorney General. And John Yoo is I like John Yoo a lot. He is pretty moderate, but he tells the truth, and he a lot of stuff he backs Trump on as far as the legality of things. So you're violating the law. So I would like the Trump administration to investigate and arrest Orhan. Some kind of a weird deal, though, with Trump, as you've seen him, where he's complimentary of him, even though he knows he's a communist. I don't know if that's because he's a New Yorker or something, but I think he really needs to have the Justice Department investigate him because he's violating the freaking law. Trump already said there's nothing that's going to happen to Bibi. You know, there's also what's called the supremacy clause. Local cannot interdict or do anything to feds. It's like the Democrats passing laws in like San Francisco and other places where they say that ICE is illegal and we're going to arrest them. Really, in Chicago, I was filling in. That's where I filled in on Monday of last week. Chicago. It's been busy. On Monday of last week, I was filling in Chicago, and literally, the Democrats are complaining that their law they passed in Chicagoland or in Illinois that says, you know, that I think it was in Chicago in particular, that you can't arrest, that ICE can't arrest people in courthouses. And they're like, why aren't you, to the sheriff's deputies in Cook County, why aren't you arresting, which is where Chicago is, why aren't you arresting ICE? We see them in the halls of the courthouse arresting people still. Well, it's called the Federal Supremacy Clause, and what you're doing is, I'm quoting Victor Davis Hanson here, is you're inciting a civil war. You're trying to literally say, this federal officer with a badge and a gun and a Kevlar suit and a shotgun or whatever is going to be arrested by this local sheriff with a badge, a gun, and a shotgun and a Kevlar vest, and when they won't come into submission, then you're going to have two people shooting each other. That's literally what the Democrats are advocating because they're so stupid, or they're lying to themselves and pretending like there's validity to something that they know there's no validity to. Q-Town Dude says, I wouldn't mind seeing a Rubio Hunt ticket in 2028. I assume you're talking about Wesley Hunt, I believe. All I know is that Rubio needs to be our next president. He would be very palatable. J.D. Vance, no. I like the guy. I think he'd be great for a senator like he was, but no as our president. No, absolutely not. All right, I want to do this. I told you I was filling in San Antonio Friday and Monday. Today. Can't believe today's Monday. I feel like it's Tuesday already. And there was an Amber Alert that popped up for obviously pretty much everybody in the state about a child, a 5-year-old boy who went missing. And I'm going to read you the story, and it got me very upset because this did not qualify as an Amber Alert. And every time our police officers pull an Amber Alert for somebody who does not qualify, they are making the Amber Alert more and more like the milk carton. Do you remember the milk cartons with missing children? There were so many children put on them and so many all over the place that people stopped paying attention to them, and that's why there's no more missing children found in milk cartons anymore. When you overuse the Amber Alert, you're putting children at risk, because when an Amber Alert is pulled properly, it can save children's lives, stop them from being raped, molested, murdered, kidnapped, or at least stop it after it's happened so it won't keep going. You know what I mean? And the more that people and police departments falsely pull our Amber Alerts that do not meet the criteria, the more they're endangering real children that could be helped by the Amber Alert. And that is why I rail against our police departments. And I want to rail against the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office because they pulled an Amber Alert for a missing 5-year-old last seen on Sunday afternoon in the Katy area, which, of course, is suburban Houston. I'm just going to read a few highlights from the story. An Amber Alert issued for a missing 5-year-old child who was last seen Sunday afternoon in the Katy area. Deputies said this 5-year-old boy was seen at this particular address. According to Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, he was last seen wearing, and they give a description of his clothes. Deputies said he has black, loose, curly hair, 4'1" tall, 80 pounds. No indication of foul play. This does not meet the Amber Alert criteria. We don't have a description of a vehicle. We don't have a description of a suspect that's abducted the child or taken him from one of the parents' custody, like a dad taking him for the child from his mother's custody when he's not allowed to. We have nothing. I'm going to read you what the absolute criteria are. This is the Amber Alert form to fill out if you're a police department. They did not meet the criteria, and yet they pulled it. More kids are going to die, and the Amber Alert is less effective because of Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department. I've called out Irving Police Department. They did this a month or two ago. I called them out on this podcast. Here we go. Here's the, and by the way, they found the child. I'll tell you whether he's been hurt or not in a moment. Texas Department of Public Safety Amber Alert request form. Here's what has to be met. You got to meet one of these two. And if you don't get to go to step 2. And if you don't meet step 2, you don't get to step 3. And if you don't meet step 3, you don't get to step 4. Are you ready? Step 1, 17 or under. Yes, he makes that. He's 5. Disappearance, law enforcement has determined to be unwilling. They don't have that. They don't have that his disappearance was unwilling. Quote, unwilling, which poses a credible threat to the child's safety and health. And if abducted by a parent or legal guardian, was the abduction in the course of an attempted murder or murder. We don't have anything about him being taken or being unwilling. Or, this is step 1, that or 13 or younger, he qualifies, taken willingly or unwillingly without permission from the care or custody of a parent or legal guardian. There is no evidence he has been taken from anyone, known, unknown, guardian, or anybody. No evidence. Or by someone unrelated, or another parent or legal guardian who attempted or committed murder at the time of the abduction. If the answer to 1A or B is yes, continue. We can't continue past here to number 2, 3, or 4 because we don't qualify. The Amber Alert never should have been pulled. For craps and giggles, the next step is the child in immediate danger of sexual assault, death, or serious bodily injury? No, because we don't know where he went. Or if somebody took him. We have no idea. Step 3. So we didn't meet step 1. We couldn't go to 2. Even if we did, we go to 2. Doesn't meet step 2. Can't go to 3. Step 3 has a preliminary investigation verified the abduction and eliminated alternative explanations for the child's disappearance? No. They don't even know why the child's gone or missing. They have no idea. And then step 4, is there enough information available to disseminate to the public to help locate the child, a suspect, or the vehicle used? Ain't no vehicle, ain't no suspect. All right? So, sadly, this 5-year-old boy was found dead the next day. There have been no signs of foul play. They found him in a lake near his home. He had been reported missing Sunday afternoon. So you now have the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office in suburban Houston falsely pulling an Amber Alert for a 5-year-old boy who wandered off, I guess, into a lake and died. And that's horrific. But it's not Amber Alert worthy, and therefore the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office has ironically put a lot of children in danger now with their false Amber Alert pull. It makes me so angry. I had a guy when Amber Alerts were first coming out, when I was in Madison, Wisconsin, doing a talk show. It was my second full-time talk show in 04 to 06, roughly, or 03 to 06. I had a guy call in when we were talking about Amber Alerts and being pulled too much, and I had a guy who said, he was a nice guy who agreed with me on most everything, and he's like, I want an Amber Alert pulled if I lose my child in a store. I'm like, are you freaking joking? No! I'm going to quote a law enforcement officer who is a listener of mine from Dallas-Fort Worth, who one night we were talking about this very subject, maybe 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago. And he said, Chris, he said, if we pulled an Amber Alert on every missing teen, you would be hearing one more than once an hour. Now, you can answer this question for me. If you heard an Amber Alert more than once an hour, would you pay attention to it? Or would you be so angered and annoyed by them that you would tune out or stop, shut off everything and not pay attention to them and just tune them out? That would be what you would do. Nobody wants to hear an alert once an hour or more than once an hour, because that's how many children go missing or run away or something in Dallas-Fort Worth when there's 8 million people, period. Now, coming up next, you got some must-see videos. You need to see Sunny Hostin tell us that no one's above the law, talking about Donald Trump, but it turns out that Sunny Hostin's above the law, and her son, who went to Harvard, is above the law. You'll hear her say that in her own words, or actions, I should say. And then you have to hear the communist head of the Democrat Socialists of America explain how his parents fled Peru because of the bad stuff America was doing in Peru. And where did they go to? America. By the way, our closest friends from church, 2 of our closest friends, Robert and Olga, are born and raised in Peru. All their entire family from both sides are all living in Peru. He came here on a work visa, 25 years ago. His employer liked him so much that he sponsored his visa to become an American citizen. He became an American citizen, brought his wife over. They love Jesus. They love God. They're in Sunday school class. I cannot tell you how many times they've taken us out to lunch, or sometimes it's just me because my wife has to work. And I go to lunch with them all over the Metroplex. This is a dear friend. These are dear friends of mine. And let me tell you something. They're here because this is the best country in the world. My friend from Peru said it was like the first 3-4 months of really getting to know him in our Sunday school class, because he was new. I don't talk politics unless somebody brings it up, because we don't check whether you're Democrat or Republican, legal, illegal at our church. I mean, obviously, it's clear that biblical values say that illegals are illegal and are wrong, and we must have borders, that God wants borders and enforcement of the law, but we don't check whatever. So I never said anything to my Peruvian friends as I got very, very close to them. And then one day my friend goes, Chris, Trump is the only way. And I was like, yeah! So they're more, they're hardcore, conservative Republicans. And now comes this idiot from Democrat Socialists of America to say that the reason why he is a Democrat Socialist because his parents fled Peru because of what America was doing to Peru. It's absolutely ridiculous. You'll see that next. Plus, I have Sunny Hostin in that video. And did I mention, I want to say it again, I'll be filling in for Mark Davis, my friend, Wednesday morning on 660 a.m. The Answer here in Dallas-Fort Worth. You can listen live if you don't live in Dallas-Fort Worth. Wednesday morning, I'll be filling in for Mark Davis, 7 to 10 a.m. Central Time, Wednesday morning. Don't miss that. All right, let's go back to this. I have a brand new roof. It was put on in one day from starting at 7:38 in the morning, and it was done by by like 9 o'clock at night, 8:39. It took a long time. All in one day, they replaced my decking and everything. It's from Blue Ribbon Roofing. Let me show you some pictures. This is, hold on, this is what my roof looked like.
See that white line?
Yeah, what is that?
That's the fiberglass mat underneath the shingle.
That's John Hopkins on my roof showing me why my roof needs to be replaced. See that roof color? See that roof? Here's my new roof now. Watch this. Look at that. Boom. Look at that. That's my new roof from Blue Ribbon Roofing. Look at this. And boom. There's another angle. And look at this. They put all new decking on that. Look at that. There's no roof on there. They put all new decking because my decking was not up to code. My previous roofer from 7 years ago never checked or didn't care to check. My decking was covered by my insurance company because it was too thin. It's probably the original decking. It's mushy when you walk up there. Not anymore. I have thick decking with radiant barrier underneath it, protecting my house, keeping it cooler. That's because John Hopkins at Blue Ribbon Roofing is the best. And by the way, I got Class 4 shingles. Do I have a picture of them here? Class 4 shingles. I am saving $630 on my policy because of Class 4 shingles. That is 11% discount for me. I also got a new roof discount. I'm now saving $2,200 a year off my insurance. That's $184 a month. That is incredible. Go to the best, Blue Ribbon Roofing. There's Tish and John Hopkins right there on the right. On the left, Trevor and his wife, Jenna. There they are winning the Best of McKinney year after year. They win Best of McKinney. That's where they're based out of, but they're all over the Metroplex and Texas. I want you to go to blueribbondfw.com. That's blueribbondfw.com. blueribbondfw.com and tell them Chris Crock sent you and get them on your roof now because a lot of insurance companies, literally, after 7 years, they might not pay the full amount for what your roof's worth. They have real cash value and actual cash value. A lot of insurance companies are only paying a portion because they say we're covering the actual value. And whatever replacement is new, is going to cost more. Don't wait. 7 years or less, get them on your roof. And it's no charge, obviously. And John's incredible. Look, when he said I needed a roof, I was like, there's no way. My insurance company said yes, and they cut 2 big checks to pay for the roof. So it's true. Get them on your roof. Don't wait. All right. And get Class 4 shingles from John. Ask him about the Class 4 shingles. All right, videos. Let me show you some videos here. This is Gustavo Gordillo, the head of the Democrat Socialists of America, on Fox News with Martha McCallum. Listen to him explain why his parents fled Peru to come to America when America's bad.
Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru was in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism, and American imperialism in many cases is actually what brings immigrants to the U.S. coming out of Latin America. And
so they come here because they don't like the imposition of American imperialism in the country that they're in?
Yes, in many countries.
So they come here.
In many countries, there have been undemocratic coups that have destabilized countries, and that's pushed people out.
Oh, well, you would think they would want to go somewhere that wasn't imposing that on them if that were the case. But, it's interesting.
Okay, so wait a minute. My parents fled Peru because of American capitalists destroying Peru. And since America destroyed Peru, my parents fled to America so they could get more capitalist imperialism? He's a liar. Or he's incompetent. Take your pick. There's your Democrat Socialists of America party. I have another video I wanted to show you. I thought I had it loaded up, but I didn't. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up here real fast and pop it on there for you because you need to see this one. A lot of people have been seeing this and getting excited about it. This is the guy who will lose in the Senate race this fall to Ken Paxton. What's his name? Telefrico, as my friend calls him. Telecreepo. Anyways, this is a black woman yelling at him, and some people think this is awesome. Here, one of the conservative journalists that I follow on X says, "Wow, black Texans are fed up," all caps, with Texas U.S. Senate candidate James Tallarico ignoring their concerns. Tallarico thinks he's going to beat Trump-endorsed Ken Paxton, but his own base that should be rock-solid Democrat is furious. Well, let's see.
So you stay here, you answer our questions, or you suffer the consequences.
So I'm happy to engage. We'll come to here in just a second. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you traveling in, and I appreciate
I did
you.
it for my people, not for you.
Wonderful, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. And it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. This is what this conversation is supposed to be about. Yeah. So one.
Okay, so while black Texans are fed up with U.S. Senate candidate James Tallarico ignoring their concerns, well, she is, to me, she said, my people. I'm here for my people. I think that means she is a BLM Marxist leftist, which James Tallarico is in league with, but as a white boy. And she wants total, this is my theory, she wants total dominance and wants him to yield like a puppy to reparations, all this crazy radical leftist stuff. Again, this is my speculation. So I think it's great to watch the far left eat the far left as their own. They eat their own. I love it when they eat their own, I like to say. But I don't think it's a black woman who is moderate or conservative calling them out. No, I think it's a Marxist leftist BLM person calling them out. Either way, I love it. But yeah, I'm not terribly excited. I think it's just a leftist. Now, I want to tell you something that I was telling the folks in San Antonio when I was filling in today. And that is this. I believe it was the political journalist from the Dallas Morning News, Gomer Jeffers, who was writing, and if it's not him, it's somebody at the Dallas Morning News, but I think it was him, who said that literally Tallarico, he literally has to get the numbers, Barack Hussein Obama type numbers. He has to get an amazing amount of blacks to show up to vote. There is no way in hell that Tallarico will get anywhere near Barack Hussein Obama numbers, unless he has rainbows shooting out of his wrists like former President Hussein Obama does, and Mrs. Hussein Obama, and unless he walks on water, he can't get anywhere near Hussein Obama level numbers, and that's what he needs from the black vote to win. He will not win it. And I've told you this before. I envision a black man who's like in his, let's say, 65, and he's somewhat of a moderate, embraces a lot of that leftism crap from former President Hussein Obama and stuff, but still goes to church weekly, loves Jesus, and even though I don't get why he votes Democrat, but nonetheless he does, and he's married and such, and I see this man going, what the hell? What's that white boy saying? There's 6 genders? God is non-binary. I ain't voting for that. Just like, what the hell's that boy saying? Hell no, I'm not voting for him. You're going to see a tremendous amount of the black vote not show up because this guy ain't them, and this guy is an abomination to an average, I don't say conservative Democrat, but conservative meaning, old school black Democrat who goes to church and loves Jesus, but disagrees with a lot of the stuff I agree with as far as politics. So if he can't get those numbers. That's what he has to get to win. He will not get that. We all know that. And don't forget, his beliefs. I think it was the Daily Wire that went in and did an investigation into Tallarico's church, into the books in their library, and they have all these radical trans and LGBTQ books that have encouragement of masturbation, having sex, and experimental stuff with sex as a child or a high schooler in the school library, in the library, not school, in the church library. That's what's in their library. It's just horrifying. It's an abomination. Now, I'm not mad, abomination. I'm just telling you it's an abomination, and he preaches things that are an abomination, and we know that. But he's not going to win. And Cruz won by only 3 points because he phoned it in until he realized it was almost too late to win. And it's because he assumed that he would win and beat Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator fake Mexican. And once Cruz realized he was going to lose this if he kept phoning it in, he activated stuff and went nuts for the last 2 months. He barely won by 3 points. Barely, meaning for Texas, 3 points is barely winning if you're a Republican. Telefrico is not Beto Hussein O'Rourke. He is much more leftist and crazy leftist than Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, was. Beto never said that God's not binary. Beto never said there's 6 genders, all sorts of stuff. This crazy, wild stuff. Beto never said meat's bad. Beto didn't eat, that I'm aware of, barbecue with a napkin over the turkey wing. I mean, it's just turkey leg, that kind of stuff. Anyways, so Telerico's going to lose by 7 points or more. That's my prediction. And I know that Ken Paxton is irascible, just like Ted Cruz. They're both irascible, meaning they grate on people. Their likability is much lower than an average Republican, maybe. Like Cornyn, who's a milquetoast sellout, and I'm glad he lost. But we'll still win. And I think that Paxton will win by 7 points or more. You watch. A lot of Democrats are going to stay home. I'm talking about black Democrats and conservative Democrats. Investigators determined that the majority of attendees. This is from. I'm sorry. I jumped into something before I wanted to introduce it. Let me do first this. This is Sonny Hostin saying that no one's above the law, talking about Donald Trump.
I mean, you can't commit so many crimes and think that you are above the law, even if you are the president.
So it really is a celebration of the law.
It's a celebration of the law and how it applies to all of us.
Yeah. Nobody's above the law unless you are Sonny Hostin, former federal prosecutor, and your son went to Harvard and he gets caught illegally trespassing, criminal trespass, in an area where trains come and go, a train yard where they fly by and people die all the time, where it's marked no trespassing, violators will be prosecuted, etc. And he gets arrested and caught being in this area as a criminal trespass. And watch what Sonny Hostin says and does.
It's in my phone if you take off the case.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
Yes.
Hey, Mom, how are you? This is Officer Gomez. Your son's fine, right?
Officer Gomez,
how are you?
This is
Yes,
former federal prosecutor.
Okay,
That's
fair
my
enough.
son.
Yeah.
He's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
He's not a criminal. He has no criminal record.
You will not charge or arrest or do anything to my son because I'm Sonny Hostin. I'm on The View. I'm a former federal prosecutor, and my son is a Harvard graduate. You will not prosecute him. We have privilege. Ma'am, where's your white privilege card? Oh.
Criminal history. Officer, is that really necessary? This is a kid that doesn't do anything. He's a Harvard graduate and a Yale researcher. He teaches geometry to f***ers and punks.
I understand that.
Why would you put something on his record like this?
No, it's...
Why would you put something on his record? In other words, he didn't do anything wrong. You're doing something wrong. You're doing this to him. He didn't do it. Remember, no one's above the law unless you're Sonny Hostin.
Why would you put something on his record like this?
No, it's...
Can you give him a warning?
I cannot at this point. I have to write names on this.
I'm a former federal prosecutor.
Yeah.
He knows. He's a Harvard grad who teaches.
Oh, wait, for the third time, are you a former federal prosecutor? Is he a Harvard grad? Oh, I'm sorry, we'll tear up the ticket. It's okay for your son to criminal trespass, just not people like you or me.
Fourth grade geometry to kids.
God bless.
He's not a kid who's ever in trouble. He's an innocent.
Well, he's in trouble now. Nobody's above the law, Sonny. Nobody. Questions remain about birthday party shooting in Little Elm at a short-term rental. Why am I not surprised? This happened everywhere. I hate them. Investigators determined the majority of the attendees were students from Louisville High School. One juvenile sustained a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. It was extremely frightening. A teen who was shot ran across the driveway, leaving a trail of blood. Texas Neighborhood Coalition, who I support 100%, reports that this shooting was the 633rd such shooting at a short-term rental in the United States since 2019. Unlike a hotel, there's no on-site staff, no security to make sure there are not parties that fall on neighbors to be unpaid front desk staff, says Jessica Black, co-founder of the Texas Neighborhood Coalition, tells Fox 4. I want to have her on. I'm going to reach out to her after this show. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com. Oh, before I forget, I want to say it again. Don't miss me Wednesday morning, filling in for Mark Davis on 660 AM The Answer here in Dallas-Fort Worth. Just Google 660 AM, The Answer, and radio station will come right up. All right? This show's been brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems.